Hello guys and welcome to the channel. So in this video we're going to delve into a very interesting and controversial topic known as the feminism and the roots of it, the background and all the information and everything that we can have, which in this era of the time and the society, is really feminism the right thing? Are the women actually more free or simply more isolated? Has love become commodified, transactional, or it has been politicized? When we rejected traditional family structures, did we also discard the framework for deep rational trust? Are women happier these days, or this kind of philosophy that women have the more power and empowerment of women are making women more stressed? Therefore, there's a kind of problematic shame in their mind that they cannot trust anyone. They have power, they are, let's say, independent, but at the same time, we see women these days that have been feeling lonely and they're not really happy or satisfied. That's something that we're gonna talk about. And speaking of the, let's say, feminism, we should actually go back to the roots. It was the winter of 1969 that there was a woman known as Kate Millett. She actually had her PhD thesis work, and it was a really wonderful kind of thesis that she had that led to a really interesting book. So sometimes revolutions are not built or started with fights or guns, they're built with books. That's what happened actually here. So a kind of revolution begins with a book, and deep down in the apartments when they are having some talks and they're thinking, a small room where ideas are actually born, laughter echoes, cigarettes burn. Sometimes it happens like that. So was this one. So speaking of feminism, in a modest apartment on Madison Eve, actually a group of young women gathered around and had some discussion, and then this idea came into reality. The woman, the main character of our discussion, is named Kate Millett, a tall woman, quite independent. Based on the evidence, we know that she had a that had left the family. Her dad, at a very early stage in her life, had left her mom and her sister. So they were living without the actual society norm of the position of a dad in the family. Well, that does a lot of things to someone for the perception and for the expectation of the life. So in her life, there was no guy with the responsibility of a father in the family. Just stay with me because this is going to be really interesting. Then she had her kind of book published, which was a really controversial book. Kate Millett's landmark work was named Sexual Politics, the name of the book. It didn't just speak about feminism, it tore open the terrain of gender, power, love, family. And if saying everything you thought was private is a political lie, in her view, the patriarchy was not just a set of behaviors, it was a political system that was being made and told to women to do a certain kind of actions, and that would be a societal kind of norm to them, which was really interesting and new to people of the time. So it quickly gained a lot of popularity. She argued that gender roles, domestic life, even the notion of love were tools of male dominance, not mere personal choices. The idea was radical. Women needed not only rights, but the dismantling of entire structures of power. So that was her personal main belief. Then, from the room to the ideology, Those early sessions in New York were more than meetings, they were like rites of a passage. Kate's sister, known as Mallory Millett, recalled later that they chanted, "The family must be destroyed. God is dead. Woman must take his place." Speaking of the sister of the main person in the role, known as, let's say, Mallory Millett, she argues later on that her sister had some psychological problems, which she was well aware of, and all this kind of loneliness, this kind of deep talks, and this kind of obsessions led to some radical thoughts to her that we these days would refer to as feminism. So, a creed without divine being, but with a, let's say, intensive idea. The world inside that room was remade. Friendships turned into political alliances. Conversation turned into manifesto. Feminism ceased to be just a movement for equality. It became an ideological totality. So you see how everything can change throughout the stages? Rethinking gender, love, and power. Millett's claim was that the differences between men and women are not natural, but manufactured through culture, education, and myth. I would say there is the possibility of both of them because we have the existence of double standard these days. Something a guy does versus something, very same thing that a woman does would be judged completely differently. So we have that one. And there is kind of evidence on that the culture and education and myth have, let's say, some effect on, let's say, causing differences. But also, there are, let's say, some mere natural differences also. Like these thousands of years of evolution has led men and women to partake different roles in society. She insisted that for genuine, let's say, manipulation of the gender roles, there has to be a kind of new idea. This meant more than equal pay. It meant undergoing women and men as fixed identities. It meant actually reconfiguring love from connection to power, dynamics, and from intimacy to ideological battlefield. You see, these days we have independent women, but there is an ongoing war between the genders. Like, this is not the thing that will be a positive kind of evolution. In her idea, romantic love wasn't just beautiful, it was complicated in maintaining male supremacy. Thus, the notion, if we actually participate, we must dismantle even the ways we love. What are the consequences of this? Looking at the whole kind of concept in the positive and the negative thing. Liberation or loneliness. So, fast forward 50 years, we live in a world where empowerment, autonomy, and self love dominate the whole kind of situation. But beneath the situation remains a set of uneasy questions. Are women more free or simply isolated? Has love become commodified or, let's say, politicized? When we rejected traditional family structures, did we also discard the framework for deep rational trust? Today, marriage rates are lower, cohabitation higher, divorce more common, intimacy more rare, and all these things, the critic has been made, and this kind of nostalgia is in the past. So, did we create a society where men and women struggle to trust each other? Where relationships feels like negotiation, it's not a deal. Where difference is feared, not celebrated. We have been marching towards an era that unfortunately has caused a lot of men being tagged as misogynist and a lot of women saying that we don't need men. This is, a fight between the genders that has been made as a bigger umbrella to make the whole society fight for something that is actually really stupid to begin with. So, the intellectual kind of legacy. Kate Millett's influence is vast in academic theory, feminist critic, media, and culture. Sexual politics became a foundational text for radical feminism, reshaping how gender, sexuality, and power are discussed. She argued that the private sphere, home, family, is a political arena. Her ideas permitted consequences and raising groups of radicalists and raising the ratio of publications in feminism, university, curriculum. So it was a big kind of movement, I suppose. Yet, and this is key, many of the longer term consequences were unforeseeable. The fragmentation of identity, gender fluidity, questioning of binary roles. I mean, these days it's really controversial. You go on a website, this is what is your gender? Male, female. It used to be like that in the past few decades, but right now there are a lot of different things. Like, there's a whole page where you can choose your gender. I don't know about you guys, but it's really confusing. Like if you be asked about that, imagine, for example, a child these days would go through that and say, okay, what am I? Should search. This is really a rather negative impact. Kate Millett sought to free women from male dominance, but in doing so, she may have in part sacrificed the simple, tender aspects of love and the spontaneous, the embodied, the rational behind it, which we can see the evidence these days. And we're asking the big questions that we actually had in the beginning of this discussion, if you can remember. Decades later, we're left with questions that Kate Millett, let's say, provoked, but didn't fully answer this kind of profound questions. Can equality exist without difference? Can freedom be fully realized without a shared vulnerability? Or can a society build on kind of gender neutral kind of optimism categories? And is it ever kind of humanly possible? We know that a lot of jobs are, let's say, the job markets are mainly done by men. For example, bricklayers or workers, or where the physical power is a must. It's just statistics. We can search them. In the next video, I will bring the statistics and we can actually dive deep into them so we can know, okay, for example, most of the men are doing this kind of job, women are tending to have this kind of job. So to rebuild human connection in a reality, restructuring everything was not a good idea, as you can see. How about a new start? What if I could tell you that Kate Millett once believed she could rebuild the world? In her words, the revolution was necessary, but revolutions are messy. They begin in rooms and they ripple into decades. They change laws and souls. So perhaps the task today isn't simply the continuation of her revolt, but the reconsideration of the difference and equality, of love and power, of men and women as allies, not enemies, Perhaps our next kind of frontier is not destruction, but recreation. Because at the heart of every revolution, even one began in a small room with cigarettes and laughter, lies an ongoing and true human kind of journey that will be upon us. Maybe that's where our next chapter begins. All in all, to just not overcomplicate things, and I would try to conclude, I would say that if you found this kind of journey true and these kind of ideas compelling, subscribe for more deep dives into this kind of philosophies that shape our journey, because truly what we know is partial and we can help build upon this kind of conception. And this evolution of a kind to you guys, was it the positive aspect, was the negative aspect? Because I mean, from my perspective especially, the heart of every revolution, even one that begins in this kind of room, there is some kind of new ideas, which is partially true. But how it ended out and is reflected these days, that for example, women would be tending to be, let's say, working on themselves and trying to just be not really interested in participating as they used to be in the society and everything. But are they like, what I noticed is that they don't really, let's say, appreciate that. They would prefer to have a normal kind of structure of a family where everything is at the right place. I mean, they say, okay, what is your pronoun? It's like he, she, it, they. What is it? You cannot be all of them at the same time. You need to know your kind of, let's say, part in a family structure, and then you build something together. That's the beauty of it. But this so-called feminism has deprived us of what has been happening for centuries. I mean, look at the evolution that we human beings used to live in the cave, and men went for hunting, women tried to take care of the family, take care of the children, and all these things helped us to survive. But these days you see groups of different kind of people that would prefer to stay together because it's safer to them, but perhaps they had a negative experience in the past that shaped this kind of idea in their mind, and this is going to stop them from improving. All in all, let me know what you guys think, and I believe it's a really beautiful topic to talk about and try to just increase our understanding on this knowledge. And until the next one, I hope that you have a very beautiful day and have a good day, my friends. Bye bye.